I cast on for a size that I measured him for much earlier in the year. He's lost a little bit of weight since then, which is kind of like good for you, but I'm kind of making you a thing, so I hope it's not baggy on you. But anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine if there's a little more ease. Hi, my name is Bethany, and this is the KnittingThru podcast. I am really glad to be able to talk to you today. I'm not going to lie, I didn't know if it was going to happen today, and I really wanted it to. Today is Wednesday, May 1st. So April is done for. It's gone. I'm 38 now, which is something that happened in April. It's really great. I'm happy about it. I know that some people have stuff around birthdays, and I thankfully usually enjoy them and usually enjoy the age that I am turning. So that's really nice. And today we are going to talk through finished objects, several works in progress. Let's just be honest, it was my birthday month, so I got a little crazy with the cast-ons, but I'm gonna talk through this podcast about the yarn specifically a lot because I'm really, really pleased with where I'm at in the use of my stash and even the use of new yarn that I had come in last month. So that's going to be fun. Let's start off with finished objects. Oh, wait. If you're new here, you'll probably, if you're new to knitting podcasts in general, right? This is just where I'm going to go through what I've been making, what I've been working on, and what I like about it, what I don't, basically so that you can get kind of a feel of how you would feel if you put those projects on your needles. Not because we have the same preferences, but because maybe we don't, and there's a project that I'm struggling with that you would really like that stitch pattern, or you would really like that color, or vice versa. So anyway, now we'll jump into first finished objects. Can you tell I'm excited? I stumble over my words a lot when I'm excited because I start to talk really fast. So I'm going to take a breath. Okay. I'm also excited because my husband got home and he was like, hey, come on, kids. We have 4 kids. And he was like, come on, kids, we're going to go plant the garden. He got stuff to make a raised garden bed, and he got all the seeds, and they are just out there making a garden together, and I can join them whenever I'm ready. And that is amazing to have that kind of freedom. So here we go. First of all, first finished object is the 11Z's cardigan. This is obviously not for me. This is very small. It is for my 4-year-old, who we affectionately call Ro-Ro. He asked for a green yarn sweater. So he was outside. It was several weeks ago, back before today, which today is 80 degrees, by the way. It is hot. I mean, it's going to get hotter throughout the summer, but my goodness, I was not ready for 80 degrees today. So, because a few weeks ago, it was really cold and he was outside playing, and I am trying to tell them, like, okay, well, if you get cold, come inside and I'll help you get more appropriate clothing on, basically. So they'll tell me they don't need mittens or hat, and then they'll go out and play for a minute, and then they'll come in and say, I think I do need mittens and a hat. So then we'll put on mittens and a hat, and then they'll go out and they'll feel better. So a lot of times I am, especially if it's above freezing, I just try to let them figure out what they need while they're outside playing if we're home, which has been a journey for me. But I said to him, he was really cold, and I said, well, why don't we go in and get your coat on? And he said, no, Mom, I need a yarn sweater like this one. And he tugged on the bottom of my sweater. And I said, oh, you do? Okay. And I said, well, I can make you a yarn sweater. And he wanted it to be green. So I have had this main color in my stash for a couple of years, set aside for him, actually. I meant to knit it up. I was going to knit it up into a flax a couple of years ago. He would have been 2 at that point. But that was the year my father-in-law died. And so I didn't get around to it, and I really had trouble with it. I didn't understand gauge the same way I do now, how you could adjust things. And this is DK weight yarn, but I held it with a fingering weight yarn also. And it's hard to see, actually. It blended really, really well. So this is a zebra DK yarn. You can kind of see where I switched skeins there. It's a little different tonally there, but the main color is from Forge Fiber Co. She's not dying anymore, but it was, so I'm glad I got it when I did. And it's a Highland Zebra DK non-superwash in the colorway Fern number 2. So the zebra part is just like these black kind of stripes, I guess, in it, but in the way that a zebra has stripes, that it's not like a complete stripe. And so this was really lovely. I'm glad that I marled this is a really thin fingering weight yarn called Holst Super Soft from Holst Garn. It's called Super Soft in the colorway Tundra. You can see it's pretty thin, but it blooms really beautifully after you block it, and really like can fill up more space than beforehand. And it is not actually super soft. Don't let that fool you. It is, it's okay. It's not horrible. I feel like it's not horrible, but I wouldn't say it's super soft, not in a smooth superwash kind of way. It is sturdy though, and it is very cozy. So I used every single bit of this zebra DK yarn. I had 200 grams of it, and every single bit of it is in this sweater, and that was really satisfying. So I used the first 100 grams, and then after I got through the sleeve split, because this is a top-down sweater, I got through the sleeve split and then changed colors, but I wanted to make sure that I could get through the sleeves before I knew what I was going to do with the length of the body. So I kept like switching back and forth because I was managing this yarn, but it turned out really, really well. So used all of that. On the cuffs, I have 2 strands of the Holst Super Soft and 2 strands of Plume Cashmere by Magpie Fibers. And then I forgot that I held 2 strands of the cashmere for the cuffs, and then on the bottom I just did 1, and also on the button band and the hood I just did 1, because I totally forgot I did that until I was kind of far in. But it looks pretty consistent, so it did not bother me very much that I didn't do it the same way. And the gauge wasn't hugely affected by it. I think it might have been a little denser had I done the 2 like I did here, but it's not a big deal. I tried it on him several times because I wanted to make sure it was something that he would most likely be able to wear next year as well. So I did that a lot, and he said it was too itchy, mostly because he doesn't wear like a shirt indoors very often. None of my kids do, really. Well, maybe one of them, the older one. And so he was like, ah. And I said, well, buddy, you're going to have a shirt on under it, and it softens up a lot after I soak it. And so he believed me about that, which was really nice. I got through all of the sleeves. These pockets are really cute. I didn't construct the pockets the same way that was instructed. This ribbing isn't supposed to be on them. It's just kind of seed stitch all the way up. And then the way that they're constructed is like you do the, I think you do the pocket lining first, and then you go back and do the pocket and do it a different way. I've never done it that way before, and I want to try it that way, but I just kind of wanted to get this done. So I did it the way I already knew how, which is more of like a patch pocket version of that, and I think it turned out really well. It's a great size for carrying rocks around. And then he asked if it could have a hood. So this pattern usually has just a 2x2 shawl collar on it, and it's great because the shawl collar has short rows in it, so the back is, you know, thicker, and then it comes down and does the little like V kind of thing. And I think that's really solid, which is why I chose this pattern. But he, when he was trying it on, I was trying to describe to him like, oh, okay, so this is where the sleeves are going to be, and then there's going to be pockets and buttons, and he goes, and a hood. And I was like, no, it doesn't have a hood. See the picture? And he was like, and a hood, Mom, you make a hood, that'd be good. And I was like, ah. And then he like walked away, and my husband looked at me and said, you got to admit though, it would be really cool if it had a hood. And I just was like, oh my gosh. I love their confidence, like that I could make anything out of anything. So I made him a hood. I went back to the bunny hoodie pattern because it, and I modified that too. I cast on with a provisional cast on so that I wouldn't have a seam on the top. So it's all this, you know, it's just kind of this seamless thing on the top, which turned out really nicely. The only thing that like my modification wasn't perfect about was the way the hood is. It's so big. It's so big for his little head. And so when he puts it on, he looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like it's just really big over his head, which I'm okay with. And my husband thinks looks awesome, but it's not necessarily great for, you know, keeping you super warm. So who knows? I might put I might tighten up the edge a little bit and with crochet slip stitch or something. One of the things that I did that I was kind of proud of is as I was doing the hood, right, I had this, there's kind of this seam here. And I went in and I wasn't really sure where the middle was. There's a lot of stitches on here, and I didn't know how to basically match up the middle of the hood with the middle of the cardigan very well, because I could count the stitches on the hood, but counting the stitches on this raw edge of the cast on and then kind of the front of the cardigan was a little iffy to me. So I counted the stitches on the hood, and then, you know, I knew where the middle of that was. And then I just took the cardigan together, you know, where I kind of lined up the raglan seams, and then took that part here and put those together. But I didn't know how I wanted to start it, right? Because I didn't know how evenly it was going to go together. I did a 3-needle bind off basically with the stitches on the hood and the cast on stitches of the sweater. So I just started with this side and went that way so that I would know where it ended. And then I turned it around. I like cut the yarn, turned it around, and did it the other direction. So the seam is on this side for that part and on this side for that part. And no one else cares, right? And I can barely tell. So I thought it was kind of ingenious. I was really happy with the way it turned out, and that I wouldn't have to redo it over and over again to make it lay correctly. It looks really great on his little back. It looks really good, and it looks great over his head. And when I finished it, he was so happy about it. It was so sweet. He immediately just like left with it on, and he kept it on for a few hours until it got too hot to wear, because, you know, the weather does yo-yo here in Indiana in the spring. It's chilly in the morning and then very hot in the afternoon and evening. Hey, buddy, I finished your sweater. Come here.
The buttons are on.
The buttons are on.
Let me see.
There you go.
Where?
Go.
Where?
I'll show you. So here's the buttons. They button up like this. Yeah, are you excited? There we go. There's 6 buttons. And there's pockets, right? The pockets you wanted. And then
The
the hoodie. There, what do you think?
hoodie.
It'll keep you cozy. Oh, bye.
Bye. Guys, look at my toiletry.
So I did my buttonholes as directed in the pattern. It gives you this really chunky button band. And because the button band was so chunky, and because I was picking it up around here too, right, to make it kind of seamless, this was getting pretty deep. The hood was getting pretty deep. Like, this would be an adult size, like this would fit my head. So by the time I got to maybe 4 rows from the end, I thought, this thing's gonna be ginormous. This hood is gonna be huge. So I did some German short rows on the button band so that the fronts would be wider than the top. So I think I did them here. I went back and forth, and then like picked a different point and went back and forth, and then went back like all the way around, right? Did that on the same side, and then bound off the whole thing. So it's probably 4 rows thinner on the hood. Well, it is 4 rows thinner on the hood than it is down here on the button band itself. So I was really pleased with that. I was also kind of done by the time I got to the button band. And so when the short row thing popped in my head, I was very happy about that, to be able to cut out probably half of the stitches that I was working for the button band for those few rows and be able to finish it up. That was really nice. So I'm very happy with it. Oh, I don't think I showed you. There are these faux elbow patches back here. They're harder to see because this is so variegated, but they're easier to see in person, and they are so cute. Oh my gosh. It looks so academic when he puts it on, and so cool, right? Academic with the hood, very cool. He wants to be a skateboarder when he's older, so that makes sense that he would want the hood. Anyway, it was a treat to be able to make for him, and he's very knit worthy. Speaking of things for him, I have another finished object for him. It wasn't originally meant to be for him. It was originally meant to be for me. And I have tried it on. It fits on my head, but it's rather tight. Not like headache tight, but smash my hair a lot tight. And so I tried it on him, and he really loved it. It was going to be a Musselboro hat, but when I figured out it wasn't going to fit me, I just finished it early and didn't do the whole thing. So I did, I think, 2 inches of ribbing here, and then a tubular bind off, and just, well, Italian bind off, right? Because a tubular bind off has like those setup rows. This was an Italian bind off, and it's so soft. Oh my goodness. Let me show you what I used for it. So I've had this in my stash for about 2 years. I've had this stuff in my stash. I've had the cashmere in my stash for about a year, but this I've had in there for a while. I got a 500-gram cone for it. Let's see. I don't know, really early on. And I've been using it in lots of different stuff, but now I have about 125 grams left of this. So that is really peachy. I'm really excited about that. Just to use the rest of that up would just be so good. So I used the Malabrigo Moon Trio Full for the main yarn there, and then the Plume cashmere base by Magpie Fibers in Fior di Latte. This is a superwash merino base, 100% superwash merino, and then this is 75% cashmere, 25% silk. And I have half of them, actually over half of this, still left, so I still can make one for myself. Actually a little over half of this left too, because I did split them up into 50-gram balls so that I could keep track of where I was halfway through the project. I like my muscle burros to be a certain length, and so I thought if I didn't make it to the halfway point with 50 grams, then I would put some stripes on the other side or something to try and make up the difference, which I don't know what I'm gonna, maybe I'll do a similar thing, just half a muscle burro for myself with this. Last month I made matching hats for me and my older son. Maybe I'll make matching hats for me and my younger son. That would be fun. I love the way that these colors play in this yarn, and I love how they get toned down and softened in here. This is really, really nice, and it's so soft. It's so nice. As soon as he put it on, he was like, oh yes, this is my hat. Thank you, Mom. And he's been wearing it every time it's cold. So I am really excited because my little sister is gonna have a baby. And so she is also a knitter, spinner, crafter, all the things, right? And very into non-superwash yarn. She's a historical interpreter at Conner Prairie here in Indiana, which is like an 1813 historical site. It's before the Civil War. 1813, I think. So I'm making things for my youngest son with abandon because I know they will go to someone who will like love them and like not be burdened by how to care for them. So yeah, this is just so nice. Who is making non-superwash cardigans and cashmere hats for their 4-year-olds? Me. I'm making those for my 4-year-old. Oh well, that's okay. It's not, I would rather he have a non-superwash cardigan because it's going to be warmer. And in October when we go on our camping trip, and I know that he's going to have these things where he can have a really soft, warm hat on his head and can have this really cozy cardigan where the hood is so big it can go over his hat. It'll be really great. So that's going to be a way for my brain to relax. I know that some people that would just not be a condition where their brain would be able to relax if they made that for their kid, but for me it's more how do I want to say this, there's more resolved in my brain around his care for that than around like caring for the garment, because I care for my own stuff in a non-superwash way, and so that's fine. This is my last finished object. I think we can decide later if the other one is a finished object. I'll show it to you later. You'll see what I'm talking about. So this is a color called Merry-Go-Round Life. This is from Big Little Yarn Co. So, let me see if I can make it so you can see it. and it's called Merry-Go-Round Life in a superwash merino worsted. So she is doing a Studio Ghibli collection. I was going to say club, but it's not really, I don't think it's a club. It's a collection. So every month, I think it is, she comes out with colorways inspired by Miyazaki movies. And Howl's Moving Castle is my favorite one. Honestly, I think it's one of the only ones that ends happily. I can't handle a lot of the other ones. I just cried all the time. So I got this one, which is the worsted weight, and it's called Merry-Go-Round Life because it really has a lot of the colors from, you know, the scene where they're doing like they're moving as if they're on a merry-go-round. Anyway, if you've seen the movie, you know what she's alluding to here. And the colors are just so great and beautiful. I didn't like split it in half and alternate sides or anything, but I don't think it pooled like crazy, or I think it looks really good. So I'm gonna pop it on. I did the same thing with this as I did with my son's hat. I was gonna make a musselburgh, but I should have thought through this. Sorry, my hair is so big today. I don't know. Let's try again. If I can get it tucked in there. But, there we go. Kinda. So cute. I did this on a 5mm needle, which I think I will size down the next time. I usually do, but I really like doing hats on a 16-inch needle. And I have a 5mm 16-inch needle, but I don't have a 4mm 16-inch needle. So I probably just need to get one of those. I have only just over 7 grams left of it. It's just the cutest little scrap. So sweet. Look at all those colors in there. Really, there's just so many. I think the only one I didn't find was yellow. There's red and brown and green and pink and blue and purple even. And it's just beautiful. So I started with my little increases and everything, and I thought what I could do would be to go through the hat, and this ribbing is not part of the musselburgh pattern at all. I just really like this one hat that I made for my husband that followed Nitty Natty's, I think it was like the 4th musselburgh she made. And she did 6.5 inches of stockinette for like increases, then 6.5 inches of stockinette, 6 inches of ribbing, and then 6.5 inches of stockinette, and then decreases. And I really like that hat that I made for my husband, and I steal it from him pretty often when it's cold. So I was thinking I'd make myself one, but I didn't have enough yarn to do it. I thought I'd be able to get through the ribbing and then just do the crown in a different color, but I didn't. So when I realized I wouldn't have enough, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do 3 inches of the rib, because that would be exactly half of the musselburgh, and I will end it. I thought I was going to keep this for myself. I like it a lot. I think it's beautiful. And it's a superwash hat, which means that I could gift it to someone else, right? Without, it having as much of a chance of felting. And it didn't turn out quite how I wanted. The yarn is beautiful though, so I have an idea of who I will give it to. But I won't say it on here because I didn't realize that some of my family watches my knitting podcast, which is crazy. Like, only 2 of them only 2 of them in my immediate family knit. So I'm kind of like, what? So if you're watching, hi. I love you. So yeah, I might gift this away. Put this with my little gift basket. Because I really do love it. I think it's beautiful, and I'm going to keep the tag with it. I usually keep the tag with my scraps, but I'm going to keep the tag with this, and that way I can put a little, I'm going to put like a little light bulb stitch marker on it with this and a little tag that says how to care for it. So I got that yarn last month, and I also got a color called Howl's Coat with it. So this is a DK yarn instead of a worsted. So I'm thinking about doing, here, let me see. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought there was a typo there for a second. So there's about 70 more yards of this, which of course will be, at a smaller gauge because it's a DK yarn. And yeah, we'll see. But I really like how, look at all the tones in that. Oh, it's so perfect for Howl's Coat. So perfect. I'm not sure when I'm going to cast this on, but I was really happy to get that one done because one of my goals for this year was to kind of cycle through different yarns. So I had originally thought that I would have an old work in progress from 2023 on my needles. Then I would be able to have a new project with new yarn on my needles, and then I would have a project that uses yarn from my stash on my needles, that I would try and have those 3 on my needles every month. And I actually have not had projects with new yarn on it very much. I've been focusing a lot more on the stash and the 2023 whips, which is totally fine. It's been really freeing to get all of these done because I happened to, you would figure this out later, but this is one of the 2023 whips, so I got that done this month, so that's nice. And then my next work in progress will have the story of the last 2023 socks and what happened to those, because the only thing left on my needles from 2023 now is a half and half wrap and an anthology throw, and those are going to be longer term projects, so I'm not going to be continuing on with the goal of getting one done every month, maybe every couple of months, but probably just trying to get them done by the end of the year because they take a lot of time and they're not hard. So they're both just, one's in the round, so it's stockinette, and one's back and forth, and it's garter. So they're not hard at all, but they just take time. So I'm going to keep working on those. I did put some work into my half and half wrap, which is nice. I got it down to, I'm still in the first color, and I got it down to less than 100 stitches. So I'm over halfway through the short row. I'm doing German short rows for the first color. So hopefully if I keep just doing that every once in a while, I'll get through that and be into the second color by next month. Okay, works in progress. I've got a couple of socks. I've got my crochet blanket, and then I've got a few cardigans that I cast on. I got a little crazy near my birthday, which is at the end of the month, which you'll see. You'll see that. Okay, so this is a gift knit. This is a one-of-a-kind colorway from, I'll put a picture of the ball band here because it's in my little works in progress cart in my front room. Anyway, I really like all the blues and browns in there. These are going to be for a brother. So I like the way it's pooling actually in here. I think it's rather fun. And I'm just doing 10 rounds a day. You can see my little row counter. I love these. I got this one in my Notions Advent from, oh no, that name is escaping me too. Shoot. I'll put that one on the screen as well, because it was really great. If you're looking for a non-yarn Advent to purchase, that was a really good one. It came in this great box. It was great. And you know, some of us really like good boxes. Anyway, I've gotten through. He is going to be getting a shorter sock at first, and we're going to see if he likes those or if he wants them to be longer later. I've got a broken rib texture going on the front, and so you just do one round of knits, and then the next round you do knit one, purl one. You could also do knit two, purl two, I guess, but I do a knit one, purl one because I don't have to look for that. Sorry, I told you, it's very warm, and so the bugs are alive, and there are a couple that got in here. No, thank you. So anyway, but they've run away. I'm doing 10 rounds a day, which puts me at, oh my, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 75 rounds for the foot, which I think means that I'm going to be starting the little slip stitch tread heavy business for the ball of the foot soon. He's got a bigger foot than I do, but not that much longer, I don't think. So I need to ask for a measurement and then see where I'm at with these. I think I'm going to cast on the other one while I'm waiting, and just do the same 10 row everyday thing with that one until I know how long these are supposed to be. If you are wondering what I'm talking about when I say tread heavy business, I have some tutorials on my channel about how you can take the slip stitch here that's on your heel flap and gusset, and you can carry it through on the bottom of your heel. And then I like to do it on the bottom of the foot too. So I do that with almost all of my socks. Oh my goodness, this sock has a bunch of stuff on it. I was going to show you how it turns out when you've been wearing them for a while, because it just kind of like it doesn't look like a raised bit anymore after you've been wearing your socks for a little bit. Sorry guys, this is real life. This is my real sock that I've been wearing all day. But you can see it just flattens out because you're stepping on it all the time, but it is still reinforced in there. So I have found that that's really nice and that it helps my socks last a long time. I started doing that after my sister and I got holes in the first pair of socks that I knit, her and I. And I read up on it a little bit and decided that that was the best way to go. I'm not the first person to think of that, but I wanted to be able to share how I do that with other people because, yeah, it's helpful, I think, to have socks that can last a little bit longer. It does affect your row gauge on the bottom of the foot at the beginning, but once you soak them and once you wear them for a while, it's not a problem. So yeah, that's these. They are coming out pretty swimmingly, I think. I really love that broken rib texture. Okay, and I have been making textured socks for other people for a while now, and I keep wanting to make textured socks for myself. I have one pair of textured socks out of the 5 that I've kept for myself. I've made so many socks, but I've only kept 5 for myself. So it's cracking me up a little bit because I made these Scrappy socks, and I made them out of what I was making my other socks from 2023 out of. Now let me clarify. These gray cuffs are part of so I used to have, let me start over. I used to have these minis, and some of them looked like really durable sock yarns, and some of them looked like beautiful single ply superwash yarns. And I thought, I don't want to make socks with a single ply yarn because I think they will die rather quickly in my life. So what I did is I took the Sunburst Hexie tutorial from the Summer Fade blanket, and I made this little sunburst, several sunbursts, right? So there are 7 here. This was the cuff of the socks. It came out perfectly. All of these were 10 grams exactly, except for this one. They all came out exactly, and they just had these little bits, like maybe a gram or so left afterwards. There wasn't enough of, I held 2 different colors for this one because the darker color, there wasn't enough for it to make it. Because for this, for my gauge, I need 10 grams pretty much exactly. So I made all of these, and I'm really happy about them. I don't know if I'm going to continue adding to it or not, or if it'll just be like kind of a multi-cup coaster as a gift. More than one person in my family is known for carrying multiple drinks around during the day accidentally. And then they'll get to their desk or their, working space and be like, oh, I guess I need to work on intaking these. So I thought it would be funny, to say this is your multi-cup coaster to help you remember to intake your liquids. Anyway, I thought that would be funny. So, but it was really nice, no matter if I decide to do that or if I decide to continue just going around in a sunburst in a circle around them. I thought it was really nice to be able to use all of those. So I'm not sure if this is a finished object. That's what I was talking about earlier. I don't know. I did block it, and that's why it's so floppy and nice. And it's nice to see how my blanket will block out. I blocked one of the hexies for the blanket, but then of course I just kept attaching things, and it's quite bunchy right now, so it's nice to see that this is laying really evenly. So I did those, and then I had a bunch of colors left over to put in the socks. So you can see if I pop it inside out, even though it looks kind of like a gradient on the outside, there's just a bunch of times where I switched colors because there wasn't very much of each color left. So I was essentially using, these bits left for this, this leg. And all of these bits were mostly the yarns that were the single ply yarns that I would not want on the foot of a sock. So I put them up here, and then I had another, it was only enough for one leg essentially. If I would have split them up, they would have just been, a row and a half of each one or something. So I didn't want to do that. So I put some of the yarn that I originally was using in my Caroline shawl in the top of these, which I actually taped it together. Are you proud of me? Those of you who have been here for a minute, like I keep holding up these broken cut up ball band, but I taped it together this time. So it's that same Rainbow Beach yarn, and it's got this like marled red and black and yellow and brown in there. I've been thinking about actually doing another like maybe crocheting what's left of this around this. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I would need to weigh it and see if I have enough, because I think I would need 8 or more to do that. I don't know. But anyway, it's a superwash yarn with no nylon in it. And so I thought, well, I'll just put that up here to do that. And then these all match the rest of the way down. So this is one of the minis that I got with these. So you can see I held this one with this darker one that I didn't have enough of together. And then this one, this large blue and orange one, I really, really liked that mini. And so I think there was 10 grams left of that one, maybe less, because I had used it in, no, I think there was 10 grams. Anyway, it turned out to be about 25 rounds for the foot, and I really love it. I'm really glad I used all of it in these, because then I can, and I'm glad I put it here, because then I can always see it when my feet are up. These are the last bits of the Happy Feet yarn that I used for my granny squares, grannies in a row socks. So all of these, except for this, are the very last bit of all of these yarns. Now, it looks like I'm almost done with them, doesn't it? And that's because I am. I have, oh gosh, probably 11 more rows before I would put my toe on there. But I don't know what to put as kind of the last color. I don't have any variegated speckly scraps like this left in my sock scraps, which is fantastic. It's a great place to be, really. And here's where I'm at with that, though. I don't have, I think these might hang on for a second this month. I'm hoping I can finish them, because obviously they're so close. And I'd love to have the needles back for summer sock camp, which is, everybody's casting on for at the end of this month. At the end of May, I think May 28th is the start of summer sock camp, but whips also count, so just be aware of that. So these would still count if I couldn't find the right stuff for them at that point. Also, this is this gray is, what's the name of it? I can't find the ball band for it. I don't know what it is. It's a really common sock yarn. If editing Bethany can think of it, she'll put it on the screen. I've talked about it before. Anyway, it's a really basic sock yarn. I think it's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon. And I have a gray, and I thought I had a green somewhere here. I might have given that away though. And then I thought I had a white one as well, but I don't see those right now. I am really excited because I have obviously yarn in my stash from last year. And then I have some yarn in my stash from before that, but I just went through it and I have about 14 skeins from before last year. That's it. That's what I have in my stash that predates 2023. And I am so happy about it. I feel like if I keep working on being able to work on new yarn, being able to work on some stash yarn, that I'll be able to get through that. Maybe not by the end of the year, but soon. And that really, really helps me with feeling like I have the freedom to just be creative and get the yarn that I want to get, because I'm not feeling like I'm hoarding anything, like I'm using it. I am using it, and I'm putting it in projects that work well for the yarn. Speaking of projects that work well for the yarn, let's talk about the Summer Fade Hexie blanket. Okay, y'all. Look at this. It's so big now. It's got so many white hexies on it. So this is all just, rows and rows and rows of white hexies. And then we've got this little splash of color over here. Look at that. Isn't that nice? So I just finished this. I'm going to fold it in half. I just finished this row last night. I ran out of the white kind of halfway through. And I don't know if you can tell there's this tone difference with some of these because I ran out of the Barocco Vintage and it's in the color Mochi White, which is a cooler white. And I realized I was running out and I didn't know when I would be able to get to a place where I could get some. I eventually ordered it online and got more, and it was the perfect shade. So you can tell it returns to that shade. But I started holding one strand of the Barocco and one strand of a white sock yarn that I had, but it still is a different tone. And I'm not gonna rip anything out, but I find that fascinating that even when you're dealing with whites, right, it can be different. And I have a bit of a color issue, and so the fact that I can see it might mean that other people can see it even more starkly, but it's okay. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to be super noticeable. So this is where I was, where this little polar bear is. This guy, this guy, this guy, that's where I was across the way. So I put on 4 more rows of hexies, which is great. That means I am over a third of the way through the blanket. So the next row, it still has some of the white going on there, but the bulk of the white is finished, which is great because I am really enjoying all these colors. I'm still going to be going in with this one. This is a mystery one. That's the first one that I started using. The very generous lady who gifted this to me said she didn't remember where the ball band was, but that she was sure it was a superwash yarn. So we're going with that, and that was the first one there. Isn't that so beautiful? Oh, reminds me of carrot cake. I love it. Then the next one that went in is our Dream of Color Smooshy Cashmere, and this one's called Naked Shame, and that is just the muddiest gold. I love it so much. I love it so much that I actually ordered another skein of it, partially because I absolutely love it, and partially because all of this and then some is going to be needed for the blanket. I used some of this for my Caroline shawl, not a ton, but some of it. And I realized with the other yarns, which are, just regular fingering weight yarns, because I'm holding them double. So with the white cakes, I'm actually pulling from 2 cakes, but with the colors, I'm pulling from the inside and the outside, which is why they're kind of smushy, because the inside is getting more empty as I go. But this one, it must just be a little bit thicker because instead of using 10 grams per hexie, I'm using almost 12 per hexie. And so obviously that's not going to go as far. With each of the colors in the pattern, you make 10 hexies of that color. So I got another one so I could finish out the color well, and then also I really like it, so it'll be nice to be able to put it to use in a pair of socks or something. The next one is this one. This is a beautiful yellow that I dyed myself last year. It's Knit Pick Stroll fingering, and it was undyed, and then I dyed it with some food coloring after a horribly botched botanical attempt at dyeing last year. So I do like it though. It's a funny memory to me that even failures can be beautiful. So there's that. The next decision that I have to make is what kind of color I want to do next. In the blanket itself that she has on there, there's this orange, and then it kind of goes into a red, and then like a brick red, and then into some purples. So I originally pulled these out to use in those instances, but I don't know if I'm going to continue with that. But I have to make a decision about what to use next with the next row. So I really love all of these yarns. This purple is from the same Botched Botanical attempt. It's got these purples and blues all in it. So I'd really like to incorporate this if I can. These three are from, oh dear. What is happening? That's not it. These three are from, these are the same brand. They are Sophie's Toes socks. And so they are just so highly variegated. I think they would crochet up really prettily. And I already made my little swatch for the blanket out of this one. So I think it'd be really fun to definitely use that one in there. And that way I can attach this one. And then I have a couple of, so these are pretty much for sure. I don't know if this one is for sure. Still thinking about it. And then I have a couple of yarns in here that are pretty special to me. And I'm still deciding if this is what I want to do with them. So these are two of the Advent sock. Oh, darn it. What am I trying to say? These are 2 weeks of the full skeins that came from Mouse's Makes Advent, like the 4-week calendar. And honestly, I think I want to put this purple at the end of those socks. So I'm going to set this out because I'd like to do that. I don't think 20 rows is going to put me in danger of not being able to finish those. I don't think. I don't know. If it does, I'll use something else. Anyway, and then this is called Azula. It is a beautiful yarn from Teeny Button. But I'm hesitating to use it because I think I want to use this in a hat that I have an idea for. It's actually called the Azula hat, and it would really go well with like my literary knits thing that I've been doing this year. So I think I have to dive in my stash again and see if there's like something more orangey, or if, yeah, just things that would flow well together for these. That is part of why I chose to put this darker one up here. It's because it seemed to flow from the brown to the yellow really well. Maybe I should have done it the other way around, but I think it worked well. And I think going from yellow to orange would be really pretty. I just don't have very much orange sock yarn. I have orange, like rusty orange Nutidin and knitting Nakabi, beautiful rusty DK yarn and things like that, but I don't have many orange sock things. So I've been thinking about that and what I should do about that, if I should just ask my husband to help me with some color play a little bit and decide what I want to do. So that is, I'm glad I finished it last night to get it to the point where it is now, and I'm going to take a minute and think about what I want to do as I move forward, because I really would like to use those Sophie Toes socks in there. I think the way that there's just so many colors, but also there's like a clear main color in those skeins would be really pretty in the blanket. And lastly, I want to show you, they're kind of baby cast-ons, but I wanted to show you the 3 cardigans that I cast on for the end of April. I realized after I cast them all on that they're all green. I just finished this green cardigan, and then I cast on another green cardigan. This one is a really dark green, and it's really very pretty. I love it. It's just very like forest hunter green to me. This is the start of the Porter cardigan. It is a bottom up, made in pieces seamed cardigan. So pray for me when I get to those mattress stitches, but we'll just cross that bridge when we get there. This is the back. The pattern has you start with the sleeves, but it actually doesn't matter, you know, what you start with. So I just started the 2x2 rib on the bottom. I cast on for a size that I measured him for much earlier in the year. He's lost a little bit of weight since then, which is kind of like good for you, but I'm kind of making you a thing, so I hope it's not baggy on you. But anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine if there's a little more ease. And this is it, just the baby cast on. Obviously there's plenty of stitches on here, and it is a heavily cabled cardigan, so I have 10 100-gram skeins to finish it because I wanted to make sure that I definitely had enough yarn. For me, I generally need, of worsted weight yarn, I generally need 600 grams if it's like a non-Newton situation. I don't even know how much I would need from a Newton garment. I've never made one before, but you know, regular commercial yarn worsted weight, I usually need about 600 grams to get through it all, you know, in one color. So I figured him being taller and having a larger chest circumference than I do, which is really common, by the way. I didn't know that men generally have a larger chest circumference than women do. They must have real big chest rib cages. So anyway, I wanted to make sure that I had enough yarn for his size, but also for all the cabling, because of course that's gonna eat up some yarn. So it's just a baby cast on. This is Barocco Vintage, and it says it is a machine washable blend. It is 52% acrylic, 40% wool, and 8% nylon. So I chose this because I did want to give him some wool, but I really wanted this balance of something that wouldn't like completely stretch out and have a lot of the negative characteristics of acrylic, but also have like the good characteristics of acrylic and wool. So I'm hoping it being a blend like this will give him the warmth and regulation, temperature regulation that he would need, but also, you know, let him be able to throw it in the machine and it not die from that. So that is in the color number 5177. I originally chose a brighter green and did a swatch and like washed it and dried it in my dryer, and it came out really great. It didn't look different at all. So then I found this green and decided to go with that. But I had already, you know, tried the blend and the swatch. So I'm really confident that this is going to serve him well. And I finally have cast it on, guys. Finally. I've been talking about it for months and I finally did it. So, whew. This is, I realize it's blue and green, but this is another 11sies cardigan. I'm making this for my 9-year-old. This is just the start of those raglan increases there. And this is a Knit Picks yarn in the colorway Sea Monster. It is 100% Peruvian Highland wool, worsted weight, and it is the Knit Picks wool of the Andes, which I've not used before. This was gifted to me by my friend Ala. She is from Ukraine. She's like this amazing crafter artist. She has an Etsy shop. I'll put that down in the description box if you want to check out her stuff. She's just really creative and like always making stuff, right? Definitely the same crafty vibe as I'm like, yeah, making stuff 24/7 for sure. So this I'm doing on a 4mm needle. The pattern is a 5mm for an Aran weight. So since I'm bringing the gauge down, and if they would have had one more size, that would have been the size to fit him, right? So since there's, say, an 8-year-old size, right? He would need a 10-year-old size. So since I'm going down in gauge, even if there was a 10-year-old size, I would probably want to go to like the 12-year-old size. So I cast on what would be 2 sizes bigger in the stitch counts that I saw patterns in. So that's what I've done here. And if for some reason I'm incorrect and I get to the end of the raglan increases and I put it on him and I'm like, oh, that's not big enough, I'll just keep going. I'm not worried about it. I think even on a larger person, this would be an okay starting point for a cardigan that's like a V that comes down. So, yeah, I'm going to make him an 11sies cardigan as well. I've had this yarn in my stash since not this January, but the January past. And I've had it in my stash to make him a sweater specifically. So this yarn that I had in my stash to make Row a sweater actually went to him, and this yarn that I had to make Jack a sweater is actually going to go to him. So those are feeling real good. Obviously this is also a baby cast on, but I don't think it's going to take me very long. Look at how that's just, it really, Sea Monster is just such a great name for it. I don't think it's going to take me very long to get through the raglan increases. He is he's obviously bigger than my 4-year-old, so it might take me longer than a month to get his done. We'll see. Yeah, it took me not very long to get Ronin's done, even though it felt like forever, because that hood, oh my goodness, that hood, it took a long time. It probably added a week for me onto the project because I was having to like muddle my way through attaching it and thinking about how big I wanted it to be. Even though it turned out huge, I was really worried about it being too small. So it turned out beautifully, but I think not having to put all that brain power into the Sea Monster cardigan means that it will go faster and I'll just be following directions and it'll be great. And the last green cardigan that I cast on is the coffee cardigan. Some of you may remember I was looking for a textured cardigan to cast on for myself. I found one called the Everyday cardigan, I think, and there were just some real issues with that one. There was a lot of errata. There was just a lot of feedback from people who had tried it where I was like, so maybe not that one. So since I had made the champagne cardigan before, I thought about just adding some textured stitches into that because I really liked the way that one fit me. But then I saw the coffee cardigan and it is just perfect. I'm so excited about it. It is a V-neck cardigan, which is like my jam. I'm very into that. And I had this yarn from the Green Mountain Spinnery where I went, it's in Vermont. Yes, Vermont, where I passed through when we were at the New Hampshire knitting retreat. And oh my goodness, yes, Vermont. And there's all their info if you want to look at their stuff. They said they get a lot of like call-in orders or online orders because that's like most of what they get because they're in Vermont and not everybody in the United States or beyond will be going there, right, to pick it up. I was one of the lucky ones that did go there and pick it up. I absolutely love it. It's so... Okay, I know that some people, when they say rustic, they mean itchy. That's not what I mean about this. It's not itchy. It's actually really soft. But it's also like, I feel like it'll hold up to a life of, me not babying it, which is what I'm looking for. So this is the start of the back of the coffee cardigan. It has this twisted rib detail in there, and then these different, it's kind of scrunched up because, I'm showing you the back. This is the twisted rib detail, and it's kind of scrunched up because of the kind of garter situation there. I have one more repeat and a bit before I am done with the back panel, which is kind of crazy to me. Like, if that's up here, even blocked out, I'm like, are you sure that's gonna go under my arm? Are you sure? Like, I'm satisfied with the width of it, I think. Because that's the neckline, right, for the back. But I think what I'm going to do is make sure that maybe I don't need to modify my armhole depth. So I'm going to do the back panel like I'm supposed to. I'm going to do everything until I'm supposed to join it under the arms. And then I'm probably going to do a block. And when I say block, I just mean a soak. I know some people aren't about blocking their knits, but I will say, if you know where that yarn has been, all of the places that you've taken it, and all of the places it's been before you got it, you might just want to put it in some wool soak and some water. You might, just kind of, just think about it. It'd be a good idea. So I am probably going to soak this, and not necessarily like, you know what I mean, but just let it sit on my blocking mats, and because I feel like it will, look at that. It's definitely going to move when I let all these stitches relax. I think with this one, I am going to do, I have this one on a 4mm needle as well. And I think what I'm going to do is do it so that it has a steek in the front. Not because it would make it easier to do the knits versus purl stitches, but because it would make it easier for me to understand which stitches I'm supposed to twist. I've already mixed it up before in here. I think you can even tell on one of them, like if this row here, that I got it mixed up. I was on the wrong side, and so I was doing the knits twisted and the purls regular, which is how you're supposed to do it on the front side, and on the back side you're supposed to do the knit stitches regular and the purls twisted. Anyway, I was getting all mixed up because obviously this yarn looks the same either way I'm at, and it's beautiful. I'm totally in love with it. I think it's going to be really, really great, and it's going to either, I don't know which way, well, I have a feeling about which way it's going to go. I often have this idea that this knit is going to like fulfill a certain thing in my life, right? And so far, all of the garments that I've made for myself have only fulfilled like a cozy vibe, right? So there are some knits that I think are like more elevated, and I would like to have some of those in my wardrobe. And then there are some, which I think this is going to be, that will kind of span, they'll be able to straddle a couple of categories. One is going to be like hardy knits that you wear all the time outside, keeping you warm, you know, things you would imagine your grandpa wearing while he was out chopping wood or something. But then also a cozy one at home. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be in the elevated category necessarily. I think maybe if I had done like a fingering weight with a lace weight fuzzy one or something, maybe that would be more elevated. This one I think is going to be like my everyday, this is going to last forever cardigan. So I'm thinking about what to do for the more elevated category. Can you tell me, what is the knit that you wear like out? You know what I mean? Like when you're going out with the family, going out with the girls, going out, going out with the partner, going out with the spouse. What do you wear that you're like, this is my go-to thing and I love it because it fits the brief of going out to dinner or the movies or whatever? Because I'm struggling. I have some stuff I could use, right? But I don't have as much of a need for the elevated knits in my life. But when the opportunity comes and I don't have any knitwear to wear there, I'm always just like, ugh, darn it. I should have taken the time and done the thing. Because I don't think I would need very many. I think I'd just, have a couple. That would be nice. So, yeah, we'll see if that happens this spring. That was my plan last spring, too, and I got distracted by cardigans. Seems to be a thing. We'll see where I'm at with these next month. I'm hoping that I can finish socks, continue on with the hexie blanket, but then make some progress on these cardigans, especially with my son's cardigan. Being able to have both of them taken care of and knowing that this fall they will have cozy cardigans to wear will be really nice. And it means I could focus on my girls and what would serve them really well. They are into a much different color palette than the boys are, which is very stereotypical. No matter how I try to expand all of their ideas around, what colors they're allowed to wear, there's just colors they like, and that's fine. So I'm going to think about that some more, but I don't have to think about it too in depth until I get Jack's done. So, I often give them socks for Christmas, but I've really been wanting them all to have a sweater for like the fall equinox. And obviously I didn't wait to give that to Roro till the fall. I'm just really horrible at that. It's not as exciting to me to wait, but then when the real thing comes around, so like I'll give someone a thing, right? And then they're like, I had planned to give it to them for their birthday. And even if I tell them like, oh, this is your early birthday present or something, then when their birthday comes around, I'm like, well, I want to make them a thing like that. It's their birthday. Like, which is fine. That means that they got the gift early or they get double gifts. Like, it's not a bad situation. That is the end of the knitting. I am going to show you a couple of things that I got. It was my birthday, so I'm gonna, oh my gosh, this sound like, I don't know. I don't know who I sound like, but not me when I say like, it was my birthday. Okay. One of the gifts that I got for my birthday is from my friend Ala, who also gave me the Sea Monster yarn. This is a quilted project bag. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Isn't it gorgeous? It's so gorgeous. And then it's all lined in there and beautiful. I love this like brilliant blue. That's a color that I want to knit like a summer top in or something. Oh, and it's got these drawstrings in it. And it is perfect. It is just big enough for like a shawl project or even the beginning of a sweater. So I'll probably be carrying this around with me a lot. There's a quilting weekend coming up this month. I went to it last year and did a quilt while I was there, and I really would like to do it again. It was so fun. It was so great to just have like the time and space to be able to make a whole quilt top. Like I don't normally have that kind of time and space. So, I know how much work goes into something like this, and it's just so beautiful, and it's so springy. I don't have a lot of spring things in my life, and so when spring comes around and I'm able to actually, have some weather appropriate things, it feels really nice. These are just things that I purchased. No one gifted these to me. I just purchased them because I like them. And so here's the other skein of this smooshy cashmere. You can see why it's so, ooh, someone's got their bass up real high. They're feeling the music. So I've got this, which is great, so that I can finish that and then have some leftovers. I also got this Sweet Georgia skein. Ooh, the blue is coming out really well. I want to make, is it called the Bunny Wishes cardigan? Or not cardigan, cowl. The Bunny Wishes cowl, I think. And it has this beautiful dark background color, and I thought this would be great for that. I would love to cast that on. So I got this because even though I'm really satisfied with my colorwork cowl that I made last year, when we went camping, I wore it almost the whole time, and I had my chin tucked into it, and I didn't realize I was like rubbing my chin on it, and my chin was raw from that weekend. So I thought if I did one that was just a little bit softer, maybe my chin would be safer in that respect. So I think it's so beautiful. So I'm hoping to cast that on soon. Then I got this. Ooh, look at that electric blue. I love it. This is from the Minimal Knitter. It's hard for me to hold. The ball is so round and wonderful. Okay, so this is from the Minimal Knitter. This is called Feelin' Blue, which, look at that. Oh, and it's a 75 superwash merino, 25 nylon base, and so is this. Oh, I left the ball band for this one over there. I'll tell you about it more when I cast these on for summer sock camp, because oh my gosh, she was so nice. I was asking last podcast if anyone had any recommendations for sock yarn that's a little bit hardier. And look at it. It is. I don't know if you can see. It's really similar to the Patton's Crow yarn, where it's soft, but you can feel that it's like hardy. And she was saying that, which makes sense, that you wouldn't necessarily know unless you've touched it. Because I think the Patton's Crow is also a 75-25, and these are 75-25. But I with my experience with indie dyed yarns, they are extremely soft, and sometimes I feel like they don't hold their shape as well. They don't stay on my foot as well. They're just kind of floppy. They're very soft, which is very nice. So if they're in my shoe, they're fine. But if I'm walking around, they just kind of like move around my heel a lot. And I have a really well-fitting heel, so if I use the Patton's Crow yarn, it works really well. But with the other ones, it doesn't as much. So I'm really excited to use this, mostly because the colors are beautiful. And look at that. And this being wound up this way, I've never had one like this before. I think that's so fun. And yeah, and of course stripes are so motivating. So I'm going to be casting these on for summer sock camp. I think I still need to think about what I want to do pattern wise with them, but I'll decide that for sure. It'll be great. Oh, this is great. And she could have just sent me like a 20-gram something, right, to be with this, but she sent me 200-gram things. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's so great. Thank you so much. I was telling her, I was like, you know, she was saying this is how the microns work, and I don't understand it at all. I'm so glad that she sent me the message explaining it because I want to learn more about it. But she was saying because of the way the microns are, even though it's the same blend, it's like a hardier yarn. And I was like, cool, I would love to try it. So I went on her website and bought this one, and then she sent this one. Isn't that lovely? Lovely. Thank you. So great. And I think she was offering to like give me the self-striping yarn, but I really believe in supporting our people, our fiber people. I think that's important. So thank you though for still sending lovely things. Oh, here it is. It's called Atlantic. It's right there. I picked it right up. My goodness. Oh, so that one's an 85.15. So I get to try both and see what. Okay. Different variables. All right. So this one is okay. I actually got 4 of these. I'm just holding 2 of them. The other 2 are wound up. This is from Lay Family Yarn in the UK. The podcaster that I follow, she's so cute and so sweet. I'm totally blanking on her podcast name. I'll put it on the screen. She dyed up a colorway called Herkle Darkle, and I absolutely love that turn of phrase. I think it's fantastic, and I think this is beautiful. It's like this peachy pink with these speckles, and when I wound it up, oh, so happy about it. I still need to figure out what I want to cast on with it, but it's really, really nice. They had it on the website as floof, and I forgot to look up what that base is, but I think it's a Surrey. It feels like a Surrey. Feels like one. But like look at the halo on that. It might just be like the softest mohair I've ever touched in my life. I don't know. I'm not usually a mohair girly. But this could be. It could be. It's very nice. Either way, it's really, it's very good. And last but not least, I got a sock tube from the Cranky Sock Maker. Isn't that cute? Oh, I love it. They sent a gray mini with these, which I think would coordinate really well. But I think I'm going to put a different color on for cuffs, heels, and toes. The reason I got this sock tube from the Cranky Sock Knitter is because I have hand knit my mom a pair of socks. I've also used a sock tube, and just added heels, toes, and cuffs for her. And she wears the sock tube socks way more than she wears the hand knit ones that I made for her. So I thought, you know what? I am just gonna see if she likes these better as well, and that's totally fine. That would be great. So I think I'll actually be able to get 2 pairs of socks out of this. And I don't know who the second pair will go to. Maybe I'll just give 2 to her. I'm not sure. But very nice. This is just the kind of waste yarn that they used for it, but I still save it and I use it in stuff. So, I mean, come on, that's like 12 rounds of sock there. So I am kind of the, I don't know if I'm plagued by the way that I feel like I need to use every inch of yarn, or if I'm responsible. Not sure where I land on that spectrum of responsibility versus like anal retentive, can't let anything go. Because like I am gonna hang on to this and I'm gonna use it in something. It's gonna be a matter of time. That's all. It would be a couple stripes and a hat. So anyway, yeah, that's why I'm so happy about using up like this business, because now there's so much that's off. The world of crochet has opened up a whole new way for me to use leftovers and scraps in my life that I am so thankful for. And I realized that crochet and knitting have a different place in everyone's life. Like, they have different styles that they like, and I think that's fabulous. I think it's fantastic that we can all see both of these crafts and see ways that we can express ourselves differently and different stitches that we really enjoy. Oh, love all of that. And in my life, it's just with yarn management, it has given me a whole other way of looking at yarn. With, just like how things will look when they're crocheted up versus when they're knit up. The fact that knit and knitted are both appropriate past tense versions of the word messes with my head a little bit. The way that you can crochet them up and the way that you can knit them up, like how different they look and how different the yardage you're using is. It's so cool. I absolutely love it. So yeah, and this is a really hardy feeling yarn too. They put the ball band inside here of what it is, which is really fun. Super Garn, I think it's a sport and something for ply, I think it's supposed to say. It's in German. I don't know any German, but I do know that it is 75% virgin wool and 25% polyamide. So that'll be great. That'll be perfect. And, and they put how many rows? Oh, that's fantastic. They put that there's 522 rows. Well, that's really thoughtful. Thank you. And this is a 60 stitch sock tube. I know that a lot of people do like 64 or 72, but I really appreciate the people who do a 60 stitch sock tube, because I find that the tension for their sock machines is quite different. And so what would normally be a 64 stitch circumference for if you were hand knitting a sock would generally be a 60. So that's kind of fun that they offer that. Well, this is the end, friends. It's starting to cool down and it's almost bedtime for my children, and my husband is just wonderful and he's out there with them, but I would like to go join them for garden time before they have to go to bed. And that's all the knitting stuff. So I will see you next time at the beginning of June. Oh my word. What? Anyway, leave me an emoji in the comments if you made it this far. You know I love knowing who made it to the end, and I will see you next time. Bye!